Every surfer's dream is to have the perfect board for every single wave condition. And the waves are constantly changing. There's big waves, small waves, medium waves, steep hollow waves, mushy waves, long rides, short rides, cold water, warm water. And every unique combination of those factors calls for a different surfboard, basically, to have the ideal performance in the certain wave shape. In order to have a slightly different surfboard for every single type of wave, the only way to do that is to amass a collection of hundreds or thousands of surfboards throughout a lifetime, which is something that only professional surfers are able to do. Me, I've been surfing for basically my whole life, and at the moment I have about 10 different surfboards, and they work great. But I've also broken probably around 10 surfboards in my lifetime, and broken to the point where they're irreparable. Um, and when surfboards break, they just turn into useless hunks of polystyrene foam that will never break down. Just garbage, plastic garbage. Um, and it's an odd thing because surfing is really a sport that glorifies the sanctity of a clean, natural world. But the surfboard producing industry has some really harmful environmental impacts. So, in this presentation, I'll be talking about the waste created in surfboard builds, um, the amount of polystyrene surfboards being built annually, and potential alternatives that may create more durable and environmentally friendly surfboards. So, a standard surfboard is shaped by carving away a big rectangular block of polystyrene foam until the desired shape is produced. It's then wrapped in a sheet of fiberglass and coated with an epoxy resin in order to waterproof it all. And about 30% of the total materials during that process end up as waste, just due to the fact that you're cutting away the foam, and little chunks of foam get tossed on the floor. You're cutting away fiberglass, little slivers of fiberglass sheets end up on the floor, and coating with this resin, which basically you just have to pour on in bucket loads, and it drips onto the floor, and so you end up with all this non-biodegradable waste. And after all that, surfboards really aren't built to last. They break very easily. They're very thin usually, especially the high performance boards. They're very thin, and one wave can snap it. If a wave drops on the board in the wrong way, or if it gets hit on the bottom of the seafloor, it snaps like that. It'll just snap in half, and once that happens, it can't be used anymore for its original purpose. So it's pretty common to see lots and lots of broken surfboards. So just to try to see how many surfboards are actually produced annually, I did a little bit of math. So according to Statista.com, the size of the surf industry worldwide is around 4 billion US dollars. And about a quarter of that is actually surfboards, which is the only thing you really need to surf. The other 3/4 of it are mostly clothing companies such as Rip Curl and Billabong, and these very popular clothing companies that are selling to not just surfers, but look in your closet and you might have something from one of these companies. But that's a whole different topic. We can talk about fashion and the waste in that industry a different time. We're going to stick to surfboards right now. But anyway, these numbers check out because if an average brand new surfboard costs around $500, that means about 2 million new boards are produced each year. So to solve this problem of all this waste, there's a few different solutions, right? And at this point, we don't even have to be talking about surfboards anymore because this is the classic, um, longevity versus performance argument. It's the same thing with electronics. Like, think about like your phone. A smartphone has an expected lifespan of like what, 3 years, um, and think about how much waste these produce. Because what do you do with your smartphone after it stops working? You got to get a new one. Um, but if we stick to surfboards, like, yeah, there's a few companies that have gone out and created products that actually are indestructible, basically. They are mostly based on like carbon fiber wrapping instead of fiberglass, which doesn't allow them to break and still keeps their performance really well. Um, the other route to go there is, build the product out of biodegradable materials. That way, if it does break and it becomes a useless hunk of something, then at least it can break down. And we have to really take non biodegradable waste products really seriously because we don't just need products that will last like double their lifespan now. Think about electronics or surfboards. Like, if they last 2 or 3 years, that's not good. If they last 4 or 6 years, it's a little bit better, but it's still, in the long run, nothing. Even 10 years, it's not enough. We need products that will last like 100 years. Because think about it, there's a huge growing island of plastic garbage in the ocean, like the size of Texas, and that's only coagulated in the last like 60 or 70 years, really, since consumer plastics have really boomed. And that's like only a lifespan of a human. In 200 years from now, which is really not very long from now, there needs to be habitable oceans and safe, clean world for humans and animals and life to exist and not be completely choked out by plastic. So the products that we create and destroy need to be better environmentally.